Hola a todos. Hi everyone. Carla here, your coach and trainer of NLP and host of this Metafit Metamind podcast, the place where we normalize the conversation between both physical and mental health. This is a place where you'll raise your voice and share your story. As your coach, I'm here to guide you to let go of all your limiting chains behind, and I'm on this mission to empower and create awareness and expansion in your life. You can follow us on Instagram at Metafit Metamind Podcast or on my other page at Coach Carlita. Make sure to go subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and make sure that you like this video and subscribe to the channel. All right, so you may have noticed that this video looks a little bit different than my previous videos. So I've been having some tech issues, so I'm kind of worried a little bit of what's going to happen. So I need to check on that. But I still wanted to come here and show up and share these things because I think these stories are very valid, very important for others to listen to and hopefully get inspiration and motivation to go and create beyond what you think you are capable of. So I just wanted to note that just stay tuned, stay with me because these things are going to go back. And if they need to change for the better, then that's what happens. So a couple updates for this episode is that in the next couple weeks, there's something launching. So make sure you follow me on Instagram or subscribe to my newsletter so you can get that news, those updates, because I think the announcement is happening tomorrow. And so stay tuned because it's going to be really, 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 really fun. Also know that I have a podcast course for those of you that want to know how to start your podcast. It's called Your Journey to Your Podcast 101. So just like it sounds, it's for you to have an easy way to start that podcast, to start raising your voices and be able to share your gifts, your messages, whatever that is, for others in the world to know. This is just one of my values, I would say, and one of my beliefs that I think by us doing something like this, one day anybody after us, our legacy, our next generations, whoever it is that we want to inspire, they're going to listen to all these things that we've created so they can go even beyond what they thought. Because even though there's things that may have happened in the past, sometimes these things may repeat themselves, and it's up to us to break those cycles as well by sharing these stories. So definitely stay tuned, stay watching, do your thing, and so enroll into the podcast course. And I think that's the updates that I have for this week. In this episode, I had Melisa Rosalez on. She is a Latina, mom of 4 kids, someone who's worked through the years, created changes for herself. So the legacy that she leaves is with new and growth type habits rather than the old cycles that used to be there as Hispanics. She's also a relationship and empowerment coach, and she's a ray of sunshine coach, as she likes to say, because she can guide others to emerge from this place of dark into the light, into this place of sunshine. And one thing that she's doing that's super cool that you'll listen about in this episode is that she's creating this free summit for Latinos, Hispanos, however it is that you like to use the title, and just listen to other people's stories, entrepreneurs, amazing, really cool things. And so this event is called Raising Hispanic Leaders. So definitely stay tuned and watch and listen to all the information on that. So I hope that you enjoy her story and go follow her on Instagram and do all the things because she's creating some amazing opportunities that many of us can learn from. So enjoy the episode and make sure to like the episode and subscribe. Hey everyone, thanks so much for coming back on to watch or listen to this podcast of Metafit Metamind Podcast. And I'm really excited to have another guest who I recently connected with, who I think is super inspirational. She's doing some really cool things. Melisa Rosalez, thank you so much for being on here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Carlita. Oh my goodness, I've been enjoying getting to know you and what you do with Metafit Metamind, and thank you so much.
Yeah. So one of the first questions that I love to ask my guests is, who is Melisa?
Good question. Well, actually, I'm a girl from a small town in Arizona, and I've been living in Phoenix probably longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Longer than I was living in my hometown, and
Wow.
I my goodness, that is a good question that I don't really think about too much, but I guess I'm just a Latina girl raising her kids in America, and I'm Chicana, I guess, first generation, second generation on one side, first generation on the other side.
Okay.
And I'm really, I'm a life coach, and I'm a mama of four and a wife and an entrepreneur and all the
Yeah.
things.
All of those things, right? All those amazing things. And so I know the other day we were talking about like titles and things like that. So I know that we're about to get to know more about, how these even came about in this experience. So share with us, what is that story or that journey or whatever that chapter that brought you to where we're at today?
Great question. So essentially, when I was having babies, when my
Mhm.
husband and I were starting to have babies, and I was super excited because I come from a big family, and
Oh,
I felt like I had a great childhood, and I loved being around family and cousins and tias and everybody. And once I held my baby in my arms, and I'm looking at him, and I was like, I can't put him through what I went through emotionally. It
mm-hmm.
just really dawned on me. It just really kind of hit me hard. And it was never anything that I had ever thought about
Mm-hmm.
until I had him. And when we started to talk about what kind of person do we want to teach him to be, what are our values, when we were really
Yeah.
thinking about that, my husband and I, um, we decided, you know what, we want to do things a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to do things the same way the way we were raised, with the chancla or with the belts or,
Yeah.
anything like that. Um,
Gritándonos, like yelling at us. Yeah.
yes, and the constant yelling. And, I was like, I like peace and I like harmony. And let's find a way to kind of bring that a little bit more. Yeah, the fiestas are great. Let's have an
Yeah.
escándalo every once in a while. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nothing too bad. But it's just trying to find that balance for us.
Mhm.
And so when we were doing it, we felt like we were doing it alone. Our oldest is 23 years old. Oh my gosh, 23. It's just
Wow.
crazy.
For
And
those of
we
you
have
that
a
don't see her, she does not look like she has a 23-year-old. So
and then we have a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old, and then our little caboose, our 12-year-old. And
wow.
when we were going through it, we just didn't feel supported by our family, and we just didn't feel like there were any other Latinos that really we could model that had kind of been there. If they were
Yeah.
out there, we didn't know where to find them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just kind of had to muddle through, figure it out, make our mistakes, try again, make our mistakes, try again. And eventually we just came to this place of, oh, this, I don't know, we just have peace. And
Yes.
don't get me wrong, we have our issues, we have our differences. We're human beings, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't have the pressures or the same hang-ups, essentially, and that's what we love. And so what I do with my coaching is I help people through that.
Mm-hmm.
I give them the tools. I help them, with the knowledge, the things that I've learned, the things that I learned from my peers, the things that I learned from other leaders that I've learned from. And that's really what my passion is. What my passion project is helping other Latinas, Latinos, Latinas that are kind of in the same boat,
Mm-hmm.
that want to do something different. Hey, we're here. We're here to help. So
Yeah. And so in this process, because you said your oldest is 23 and then your youngest is 12, you said?
yeah.
What do you think has been that biggest difference, that biggest change between that, having that baby to having the youngest one?
Oh, girl, where do I start? Well, not only
Somewhere.
yeah, not only has society changed from there, but what's crazy is I actually got a do-over. My 12-year-old is just like my 23-year-old. Like, it's
Really?
funny. Oh my goodness. Yes. And so really, honestly, my husband and I were like, well, we did it like this with this one. Let's try it like this with this one,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
And
trial and error.
yeah, and you know what? It's just we're wiser parents. We're older, and we've learned that they're not gonna break if we let them play in the mud, or if we let them, jump off that slide, or whatever. And it was an interesting dynamic because when we were having our little one, our three were old enough. Well, we're well aware to know mom is having another baby. We're having another sibling. Super excited at first. Once he got to that age of wanting to do things on his own and be more independent, and the kids trying to parent him, trying to say, um, mom would never let us get away with that. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys didn't break, and
Yeah.
I was more protective of you. I was young and I didn't know. Let him explore. And if he
Mm-hmm.
gets a cut, well, we'll fix it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it was an interesting dynamic. So there are similarities
Mm-hmm.
in the personality, but there are differences in the way we parent for sure.
Yeah. And then for you internally, what do you think that's been like a factor that has led you to now like being this person creating the stuff for other Latinos and Latinas as well?
Oh man, that factor is just being wiser.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to have that wisdom, being able to have been there. It's one
Mm-hmm.
thing to kind of think, no, you know what, I know this is going to happen, but to actually have gone through it and seen it all the way through, and okay, yeah, maybe I was right, but could have probably been a little bit more different. Just being on this side over here is just, it's nice to
Mm-hmm.
kind of have gone through it. So,
Yeah.
I got to parent twice. And
Yeah.
to me, it's an amazing blessing. I didn't plan it that way. It just happened that way. And I'm blessed and I'm happy. And I want to share,
Yeah,
any wisdom I can impart, on anyone,
for
bring it,
sure. And I think it's really important that mention that, to share the wisdom, because I've heard, and I don't know who specifically, but I've heard stories of even in the coaching space where somebody will report somebody because they're sharing possibly their content, but that content was also modeled from somewhere else that was shared. And so I think it's important to share this wisdom, because that's the one way, in my opinion, to create this ripple effect of the change that we want, right? Of the world that maybe we want to be this change in. And I say like small, but I think it's bigger because it's in our spheres in which we're at, right? And so I think it's cool that you say like this wisdom that you've gained, you can share it with others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's how we used to do it, right? That's how our
Yeah.
ancestors used to do it. They just, they would rely on they used to call them usually like a wise person, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
oh, there's a word for it.
Is it the
I can't even,
sage,
the sage. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
right.
El
Mm-hmm.
sabio, right? In
Uh-huh.
Spanish. And
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was the person that had been there, or the person that had experienced it, or that had seen other people gone through it.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones that used to help the families and help them grow and evolve. Well, we're in a very different era now where everything is entrepreneurship, but it's also like what is interesting to me is a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people will not take free information either.
Yeah.
It'll be available, but it seems like it's devalued. So it's
Yeah.
almost like you have to be an entrepreneur to be able to share this so that people will actually try to implement it. And that's a really interesting dynamic and something that I've been pondering a lot about
Ooh,
as
we can go all into that
well.
conversation about, people not really taking advantage of the free content. And I say that with air quotes, because it may be free for somebody, but it took energy from somebody else to create that free content. And
Yeah.
then, sometimes, like you said, it gets devalued. And I think in this entrepreneurship world, right, when you go into entrepreneurship, some people, and I know I used to be one of these, were scared to even ask for the sale or ask for the money, right? And it's like, wait, hold on, like, you're kind of, one way that my coaches put it was, you're damming the flow of income or of abundance, right? Where if you feel like, oh cool, I get to ask for this, right, then it's like, all right, cool. And what's interesting is that when they used to offer like a buy one get one type of offer, the people that paid the actual original value of whatever the program or the event was, they would show up so fully, so like in there. And it was a few of them that got it for free or for maybe like $50, right? That they would show up. But others who only got it for free or for maybe $1 or, whatever the amount was, it was interesting. Like they wouldn't really show up, even if the same information was shared.
Right.
And so I don't know. That's just something that
Yeah,
like
it
I
has to
needed
do
to
with the
specify that
exchange.
here.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
to do with the exchange, having the skin in the game, and
Yes.
it's like, wait, now your hard-earned money went this way. Now I got to do something. I know
Mhm.
it's the
Yeah.
psychology is amazing. I
I know,
love
right? And
it.
when you started entrepreneurship, tell me this, because this is about you, right? This is a platform for you.
Sure.
We shared earlier the sages used to share this wisdom, but also this is so you can share your story, your journey, right? So others in your space can listen and learn from you. So when you started into this journey of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
what was maybe a challenge that you needed to overcome in that time or in that space?
My biggest challenge was me.
Hmm.
Was overcoming myself. It was
Yeah.
getting over my biggest one was my over humility. Like
Okay.
not asking for things, not feeling worthy of being
Mm-hmm.
able to ask for that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
¿quién eres tú? I always have that somewhere, but someone must have told me that because I have that ¿quién eres
Uh-huh.
tú in the back,
¿Quién eres tú?
on the
Was that
back of
from
my
a
head.
song? I
Yeah,
don't know
who
why. I
are
feel like
you?
that would be from a song.
Yeah, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
who are you to think that you can do that? Who are you
Yeah.
to think that you can offer or you can ask for something when you provide a value? You should just be giving, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for giving
Mm-hmm.
and forgiving.
Yes. Yes. Play on words
I'm
here.
all for that. Yes, yeah, absolutely. I'm all for that. But also, like I said, people will not take it. And when you know that you have something of value, then you know what? If that's what it takes for you to take it and improve your life, then that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done so much
Yeah.
free work, and where things don't get completed, I'm like, you know what? And I'll go back and I'll say, like, if I would have charged you, X amount of
Mm-hmm.
dollars, would you have done it? Well, yeah. Well, why? Well,
Mm-hmm.
because now I spent money on it. Okay, well, I'm gonna charge you right now. So can you get it done?
Yes.
And
Like, can
finding
you pay me?
that,
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Finding that in me to just overcome, to just say, you know what you're basically doing a disservice.
mm-hmm.
Just
Exactly.
finding that space when you're not providing everything you can possibly provide because you're devaluing yourself, in other people's minds.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a super important concept to even share here. We talk about all the things and things that people don't normally talk about, things that may possibly trigger some people. So,
Sure.
all kinds of things, but it's important to talk about money because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize the energy in that. And so I'm glad that you brought
All
it
in it.
up.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this, what was that moment that finally like lit you up to say, you know what? Over humility isn't going to serve me where I can give this value without deserving somebody.
That's actually deep rooted.
Mhm.
That actually took a lot of inner work,
Mhm.
because when I really, really found out why I felt so unworthy, had nothing to do with worth, had nothing to do with me, even really.
Mhm.
It had more to do with some past trauma that I had to really release,
Mhm.
and that was surrounding some past experiences that I had, that um, because of the way that because of my age, because
Mhm.
of the way that it was handled, I made associations that weren't true.
Gotcha.
And I just thought, oh, well, that must mean that I'm not worth it. That must mean that I don't matter. That
Mhm.
must mean that my voice does not need to be heard. And
Mhm.
that must mean that I have no value. It's just all these little
Mm.
things that I started
Yeah.
associating, and I had them just somewhere in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of deep work to really get to the root of that. And then that finally, like slowly but surely, eating up at the other stuff that was in there.
Mhm.
Once I was able to move past it, make peace, get rid of it, and find out it's not true, because it isn't. The things that
Mhm.
we tell ourselves are not true. if they're not true. And
Yes.
it's like we know that, but we don't. And once we decide, you know what, I need to live my life. I need to go forward. And the only way you're going to go forward is if you let that go. It's letting go of all of that stuff that
Yeah.
finally, where I said, you know what, I I can't I can't live in this hole. I'm
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it's important that you said that. And thank you for sharing that sometimes it's not that surface level thing. It's deep rooted. And you have to go and do that inner work to get yourself to the point of, hey, like this is what I'm providing for you. This is what it takes.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me this. What is something like in this process, because that's what I do here is really Metafit Metamind was created with the meta, right, to be fit physically, where we fit in our life, and also mentally, how we take care of our mind, how we talk about mental health and physical health, and how that correlates. So based on your experience, how has that been, that correlation, and how is that something that is not just one or the other, but it's a collaboration?
Oh, absolutely. Physical health has everything to do with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's funny because it's one of those things that we all know it. We all know that when we do physical activity, we just feel better.
Yeah.
We're happier, we're more energetic. In my case, if I don't exercise too much, I'm shorter with my kids. Like,
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
I love my kids. Don't get me wrong. I've never been annoyed by my kids,
Yeah.
but if I'm focused on something and they come and ask me a question, I'm like, really? I'm in the middle of it. I don't want to be that way, but I
Yeah.
am. And then I beat myself up for it. Like, why did
Mhm.
I answer that way? It's
Yeah.
not fair. You didn't know, you know what? I need 5 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
And then try to reframe. But that took me a long time to get there too.
Mhm.
So I know that when I do my physical activity, when I do my workouts consistently, when I go to karate consistently, my sister
Oh,
my
cool.
friend and I do karate together, when I do all of those things, or even when I do extra, my energy is up, my focus is better. I mean, it goes hand in hand. And not only that, I'm able to handle my emotions better. And I
Yeah.
really, really believe that being a strong entrepreneur has everything to do with handling your emotions.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. Karate and other sports with your kids. That's cool. Like that's a cool way to connect with them, I think.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what is something that you are excited about, or some goals that you have coming up for your business, for yourself? Like share with us.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Actually, I'm super excited to share. I have a big summit coming up. So
Nice.
it's called Raising Hispanic Leaders. And this is my baby. This is my passion project I've been talking about for 20 years at least,
What?
since I was trying to raise my babies and trying to figure
Yeah.
out how am I going to do this. And I really, honestly, in my community, I was trying to gather all of the Hispanic people that I could and see if
Mhm.
we could come up with something or collaborate and, get a group going together. And at the time, I mean, I was a young mom. I was working 2 or 3 jobs. My
Mhm.
husband was working 2 or 3 jobs. And we were trying to do all of this. We had all these changes. We were moving, we were doing all these things. And then I never took it off the ground. And so then I tried again later, and then it didn't quite work. Well, now I said, you know what? No more excuses. My 3 older ones are out of the house,
Yeah.
which used to keep me busy, but that doesn't keep me busy anymore. And I said, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm focusing. I'm doing it because now is the time. If not now, when? And
Mhm.
so this summit, I'm putting together a ton of speakers on different topics on being fit, on mental health, mental wellness, physical wellness, on child psychology, on relationships, on parenting. I mean,
Nice.
it's really going to give you all the tools and resources to really, really build strong relationships with your kids, and
Mhm.
really get yourselves in that strong, fit mind to
Yeah.
get you guys moving forward. Because really, as Latinos, we have such rich culture. We have
We
such
do.
immense passions, and we have these wonderful things to give. And so while we're learning how to do things a little bit better for our kids, we can also keep the things that are good, that are whole, that are right at the center of our culture, that's so unique, that other cultures don't really offer. And so I'm super excited. It's going to be a 21-day summit. It starts on September 27th and it's going to go through October 18th. So it's going to be about 1 to 2 hours long, depending on the day, depending on the speakers. And we're going to just provide a ton of value for the audience. And I'm so, so excited to share that.
Yeah, and I'm really excited. And this is the first one of many, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely. The first one of many. I don't know how often I'll be able to do them, but you know what? Time will tell. And if somehow I get the time, I will do it. Because let me tell you, this is an undertaking. It's going to be, like you said, it's going to be free, but it's taking a ton of my time and resources.
Everybody, like, share it if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, like, if you go, we're gonna put all the links, share the stuff, because this is how we're gonna continue to grow as a community. So like I said, let's put the intention out there, then hopefully maybe it's once a year, right? It's 21 days. So 21 days that sometimes we're 21 days out of our year, we're wasting time doing other stuff that isn't serving us, right? And so let's take these 21 days and support Melisa and support this summit, because it is a summit. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm really glad you found me, I found you. Like, I don't know how that connection happened, but I'm really happy for that. And then now you get to be on here too. Universe, we call who we're supposed to be calling into our universe.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And yes, thank you so much, Carlita. I mean, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and what you do for the community. I love that, because it's so important, and we need more people like you supporting, especially the Latino community, helping us get to that level of, you know what, we can play with the big boys.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah. We're moving towards that. And before we even complete any of this, because I have 2 more things that I want to ask you.
Okay.
So what is something that you would share with somebody that wants to learn from you, maybe that they've had a similar journey, or they're like, hey, Melisa, I would love it if you can share something with you that can help me out in the next steps in my life?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I can share is as long as the intention is there to help your child grow, you'll figure it out. You know, there are going to be moments, there will be moments where you're like, am I cut out for this? Is this something that I was meant to do? Because right now it doesn't seem like it. But you know what? Trust me, it gets better.
Yeah.
Trust me, you will get through it. And trust me, you'll come out great at the end, because it really is. It's all about intention, really. And it's really all about love. If you can start everything with love, that's where, you'll find how to properly do things. Now, with that said, love can go a little overboard. So, that's where I help. I help you find that balance. Like, okay, yes, you love them and you're doing all of these things, but is that really necessary? So it's a lot about balance. With the intention of, what are we trying to accomplish? It's a goal in mind.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that, because I had an interview with somebody earlier, and we talked about self-love, unconditional love, conditional love, and those boundaries. So y'all are supposed to listen to these episodes, because we are in a theme here. So thank you for sharing that, that love, but also setting those boundaries, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So if somebody wanted to either work with you, connect with you, maybe be part of this summit, even maybe I don't know about this year, but maybe next year, whenever you have this again, how can they reach you?
Well, right now, just through my email, it's rayofsunshinecoach@gmail.com, because we are working on the websites. We're working tediously on a lot of different things all at the same time. And I've never needed a website, because all my coaching is done locally through my networking, through my other groups, through my consulting firm and everything. And so I've never needed a website. So this is going to be the first time. Maybe by the time this podcast airs, I may have a website for you. But for right now, it's just through my email, rayofsunshinecoach@gmail.com.
Cool. And I'll put the links in the show notes and everything like that. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being on here, for sharing a part of your story, for being inspirational, for being motivational, because I think it's important for people to understand. And I don't think we get a lot of people talking specifically about parenting and going through this process of being a parent. I'm a stepmom, but it's not something that we always talk about. And I think it's important to note this. So thank you so much for being on here.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been so fun, and it's been so great getting to know you. I'm excited that you're going to be part of this summit.
Yay! Thank you.
Thanks.